Yesterday in Game 1 in the 6th inning, with the score tied 3-3 between Baltimore and Cincinnati, the Reds had one out. Bernie Carbo at third, Tommy Helms at first, and at the bat, pinch hitter Ty Klein. And this play now has been discussed, talked about, will be for years to come. First of all, watch the catcher, Ellie Hendricks, on a chopped ball in front of the plate. He'll go to his right. The umpire, Burkhart, has to go to his left with one object in mind: call the play fair or foul. Now, on the left side of your screen, the base runner, Carbo's coming in. His path is blocked by the umpire. The umpire signaled a fair ball. Here's the tag made by the catcher's mitt only. Look at the white ball with the background of the umpire's blue uniform, and his back is to the play. He cannot see it. Now, the next facet of this play, the base runner misses home plate. So he's never tagged. He has never touched the plate. The umpire, Burkhart, had his back to the plate, and now the umpire rages. And now the base runner, Carbo, will accidentally touch home plate for the first time as he steps on it. We're going to take a look at this play from a different angle, from the third base runner, Carbo, coming in. Ken Burkhart today said if he had it to do over again, he would have been in a better position. But he had one object in mind: call the ball fair or foul. Carbo has to get out of the way of the umpire. The tag is put on him once again, showing you that Hendricks touched him only with a catcher's mitt and not the ball, and that Carbo missed the plate with both feet. The Cincinnati Reds say it cost them the ball game. They admit it was an unusual play because the umpire, Burkhart, didn't think the runner would be coming in from third, and he was straddling the third base foul line. But as Sparky Anderson, the Cincinnati manager, said, that play didn't beat us. The Baltimore Orioles did. Of course, we've had the good fortune to be able to dissect it in slow motion, frame by frame, something the home plate umpire couldn't do yesterday. That happened yesterday in Game 1 of the World Series. Today, NBC Sports presents Game 2 of the 1970 World Series. The American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles, versus the National League champions, the Cincinnati Reds.
It's 24 hours after the fact, and every witness knows that three's the crowd when they're all tangled up at home plate. Bernie Carbo, Ellie Hendricks, and umpire Ken Burkhart. Each man takes the stand. First, Carbo.
That's about 5-10 feet before I got to home plate. I had to slow up about 2 steps and go around the umpire. The umpire was blocking home plate. So when I started to slide, I kind of pushed the umpire and hit his back leg, and I slid past him. When I hit the umpire, he turned around. I don't think he saw the plate. I knew I missed home plate, but the umpire already called me out, so I couldn't go back and touch home plate. And then actually, when I was arguing, I was jumping on home plate.
So I was very much surprised to see him coming in. Knowing the ball was just hit right in front of the plate, I know I had him if the umpire hadn't been in the way. I think the umpire was in perfect position. He had to make a fair call. Somebody had to make it, and I think he was the only one that could have made it at the time.
Klein was the hitter, and he bounced the ball high in the air, and I had to position myself to call the ball fair or foul. The ball was only fair about 4 inches. I didn't realize that the runner would come home on a play this short from home plate. Palmer must have hollered at the Hendricks, the catcher, that he was coming, and I did the best I knew how on calling the play because my position was bad, but I was caught unexpected. And that's the way it happened, and that's the only thing I could do.
Now let's go to Tony Kubek downstairs.
With me down here in the stands, Casey Stengel. And Casey, we've had all kinds of opinions at that play at home plate. How did you see it?
Well, I sit up here, and I'm back at home plate. I saw the man run in from third base. There's a play a man on first and third. If there'd been 3 men on, naturally the man had touched home plate and thrown to first base. So therefore, they had a double play. This way here, the umpire, how could you be back at the plate on a quick play that the catcher catches the ball with what you were in the way? I imagine when the man run in, the umpire is in his way. Now, he didn't go over to the bench like the rules say. Every rule now used to be if you go over to the bench, you can't come back to home plate. It's like taking a pitcher out. Now, if you're a pitcher, they give you can't go out the third time. Only twice. But if you only go 25 feet when you slide by the plate, you haven't gone into the bench. Why the man didn't touch him coming back? 3 of them made a mistake, and I can't blame any one of them with anything. But I'm not close enough to judge it, but all 3 of them must have missed the play.
We got 2 pretty good teams playing in this World Series.
Yes, sir. There's 2. You're down to the best of it on this year. Cincinnati's amazing. The manager was terrific. He's a minor league manager, and he did a wonderful job. And I'll have to say that when you go to the Baltimore club, he's been great, too, in the last 3 or 4 years. Their manager. The ball players are terrific on both sides. They can hit the ball. Yesterday it showed you 11 hits, 2 good pitchers pitching, and they got 5 home runs.
Casey, excuse me. I have to throw this upstairs to our translators. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Let's go upstairs.
The honor of throwing out the first ball to Warren Giles. 50 years in baseball, 18 years as president of the National League until he retired. His job taken by Chub Feeney, and he's throwing the ball out to Johnny Bench, the Reds catcher. Mr. Giles used to be a general manager right here of the Cincinnati Red Leg team. So he's Cincinnati and National League all the way. In just a moment, the Reds will be taking the field, and we'll set them up defensively for you. The temperature right now, 61 degrees. Ken Burkhardt, as he walks down the right field line, is getting it from some of the stands down that way. There are the Reds on the field. 61 degrees, no breeze right now, a 20% chance of rain. And to set up the Reds defensively for you and to call the play-by-play on the first half of this game, the outstanding voice of the Cincinnati Reds baseball team, Mr. Jim McIntyre.
Thank you very much, Kurt. Here are the Reds defensively. At first base, Lee May. At second base, Tommy Helms. The shortstop is Woody Woodward. At third base, Tony Perez. In left field today, Al McRae, a rookie. Bobby Tolan in center field. Pete Rose, the captain in right. Behind the plate, Johnny Bench. And on the mound, right-hander Jim McLaughlin, who won 14 and lost 10 with a .358 earned run average. Among his victories were 3 shutouts. He led the Red staff in that department. And he is most effective with the low fastball. There's a good look at McLaughlin in slow motion. Get an idea of his delivery. He is about what you'd call a 3/4 arm pitcher. You might notice some seats in the background that are not occupied. Here's a good look at the umpires and where they're stationed today. The seats in right field are for football, and they are not so for baseball. That's why they are unoccupied today. Plate umpire, there's Ken Burkhardt down the right field line, the umpire who was involved in the controversial play at the plate yesterday. He's watching the right field line as Don Buford steps in to lead off for Baltimore.
Ladies and gentlemen, it now appears that we are ready for that report from Montreal on the latest on the kidnappings of Quebec Labor Minister Pierre Laporte and British... Now back to the World Series.
Could be a double play. Easy double play.
Boy, this is tailor-made all the way. Hit sharply right to Woodward. Tommy Helms, one of the best in the business, is on the pivot. Had all the time in the world to make that one. That's what an infield prays for, a ball hit like that.
And on this artificial turf, of course, the ball gets to the infielder a lot quicker than it does on grass. Here's Boog Powell.
Did Cincinnati shift much like they're doing on Powell this year, Jim?
Yes, on Hank Aaron particularly, and William Covey. Breaking pitch, ball one. There's the shift with Helms at short right. He checked his swing in time. 2 balls a strike. Missed with it, 3-1. Ball 4, he walked him. So the Orioles, with 2 out, get Powell at first and bring up Frank Robinson, who spent 10 years in a Cincinnati Reds uniform. tried desperately yesterday, and I think was a little bit disappointed that he didn't come up with a hit. The Reds got him 4 times. There's his season average 306 with 25 home runs. He was the Rookie of the Year for the Cincinnati Reds back in the early 60s. Deep down the right field line, but foul. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Strike 3 called, and the Orioles are out. No runs, a hit, and a man left on, and after a half inning, it's Baltimore nothing, and the Reds coming to bat. Here's the way the Orioles stack up on defense. At first base, Boog Powell. At second base, Davy Johnson. Mark Belanger is the shortstop. Brooks Robinson at third base. Don Buford in left field. Paul Blair in center. Frank Robinson right field. Ellie Hendricks behind the plate. And left-hander Mike Cuellar on the mound. He was the great screwball, and Pete Rose leads it off, batting right. Rose, a switch hitter, this year batted .319 hitting right-handed and .307 hitting left-handed. One of the most consistent switch hitters in baseball. That looked like a screwball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Pete at .316 with 15 homers, has good power, better power right-handed than he does left-handed. Belanger off his leg. Rose puts on the brakes as Blair plays it back in, and the official scorer will have to rule on that one.
Belanger has outstanding range and usually a very sure pair of hands. He's over there for the ball, even though he has to go quite a ways to his left. Ball came up and looked like it hit in the heel of his glove and bounced out, and they have charged Belanger with an error.
Left-hander Mike Cuellar opposes the Reds in Game 2. And Pete Rose is safe on an error by Mark Belanger.
Slow roller. Robinson. Yes, at second base. Rose did his best to take Davy Johnson out on the plate. The ball was hit slowly. There was no chance for a double play.
Tolan bounces one slowly to the human vacuum. And Robinson's peg beats the takeout slide of Pete Rose at second.
At the middle. Tolan will stop at second. And the Reds have their first hit of the game. There's Johnny Bench. To right field. Robinson. 2 out. Tolan tags and goes to third. Runners on the corners at first and third with 2 out in the first inning. And Lee May coming to the plate. In the gap. Clark can't get it. 1-run scores. Perez to third. He's being waved in. Buford with a relay, and going into third is Lee May with a triple.
Lee May comes up with 2 outs. The slugger that Jim Palmer calls the quickest bat this side of the Mississippi. And he promptly doubles to left center. Two-run score as May steams in the third on the throw to the plate.
So far, May has hit the ball the hardest of the Red players in these first 2 games. Look at this swing, right on it. Head still, good follow-through, front hip out of the way.
Rookie Hal McRae with a bunt, play at the plate. The ball getting away from Hendricks. And McRae starts for second. Now has to come back to the bag, and the throw there to Powell short of the base. And the Reds are leading 3-0. Perfect squeeze.
There's a ball jump. The runner's coming. McRae jumps it down. Here's the backhanded sort of basketball pass. It's wide of the plate. Goes up against the screen. McRae didn't make the turn. Here comes the runner on in now. This is Lee May scoring. A perfect squeeze play by Cincinnati.
It's a safety squeeze. And Cuellar's shovel throw home is off the line. Cincinnati leads 3-0.
That's Tom Phoebus warming up, a right-hander, as the Reds get to Cuellar for 3 runs in the first inning. Have 2 men out with McRae at first and Tommy Helms coming to the plate. Helms was 1 for 4 yesterday. Cuellar, first pitch. Grounded to Robinson at third. He'll go to second and get the force there and retire the side. The Reds score 3 runs with 3 hits and leave 1 man on. And at the end of the first inning, the score, Cincinnati 3, Baltimore nothing. The coaches for the Orioles, George Stoller at first, Billy Hunter at third, as Baltimore sends Brooks Robinson to lead off inning number 2, 3-0 Reds. Popped up, shallow right. Helms and May. And May, as Helms got behind him, wasn't quite sure. All right, here is the Orioles' fine catcher, Ellie Hendricks. He had a home run yesterday to help the Orioles to that 4-3 win. Sharp grounder to May. Makes the play easily. And the put out. 2 out. It's Mrs. Ellie Hendricks there in the white blouse, enjoying the World Series, and I'm sure she's happy about the outcome of yesterday's game. Here's Davy Johnson. Fine, fine second baseman. Loop to left, and McRae will take it on 1 bounce. Hit number 2 for the Orioles, Davy Johnson's clean single to left field. That brings up the shortstop, Mark Belanger. Pop up, back of first. May, Helms, May. And May caught it just as he crossed the foul line. And the Orioles are out in the second. No runs and a hit with a runner left on. And in the middle of the second inning, the score, the Reds 3 and the Orioles nothing. Let's go downstairs to Tony Kubek.
Frank Howard of the Washington Senators has batted against Mike Cuellar. What does he throw?
Well, Tony, basically his best pitch is a screwball, which he'll throw probably 50% of the time. He's got a great slow curveball and a better-than-average fastball, only because of his great screwball.
Frank Howard, maybe we'll talk to you a little bit later on in the ball game. Let's get back to live action right now.
Thank you, Tony.
Cuellar had a bad outing. His last game. He went against the Minnesota Twins last Saturday. Only lasted 4 1/3 innings. Allowed 6 runs, 10 hits, but was not involved in the decision. Looping fly to center, and Blair, who plays a shallow center field, is in the right spot. Jim McLaughlin, the Reds pitcher, has a lifetime batting average in the major leagues of 116. He's had 31 hits and 267 times at bat with 1 home run. Now he strikes out. And that's the first strikeout for Cuellar. 2 out in the inning for the Reds. And here's Pete Rose, who opened the game with that shot ground ball that bounced off either Belanger's glove or wrist. And Rose later was out at second base, but the Reds went on to pick up 3 runs, all of them unearned in the first inning. To Robinson at third. Ball came up on him. He got it to first in time, and the Reds are down in order in the second, nothing across. So at the end of the second inning of play, the score is the Reds 3, the Orioles nothing. The leadoff batter in the third inning for Baltimore is the pitcher Mike Cuellar. Strike call. Oh, the slow curve had him way out in front. 2 strikes. Struck him out. 2 strikeouts for McLaughlin, and 1 out in the 3rd inning for Baltimore. The top of the order, Don Buford coming up now. The on-deck batter, Paul Blair. Several airplanes sailing overhead. To right center, Rose. Tolan, Rose. 2 away. Those airplanes you perhaps are hearing in the background are sailing overhead, dragging along those advertisements behind them. Blair hit into a double play, a sharply hit ground ball to Woody Woodward in the 1st inning. Big Boog Powell waiting. Bouncing ball. Perez can't get it. Woodward does. The throw low. Out of the dirt by Lee May to retire the side. So the Orioles are up and down in order in the 3rd inning. And in the middle of the 3rd, it's Cincinnati 3 and Baltimore nothing.
This is Perez now going to his left on that last out in the top of the inning. Can't quite get it. Woodward backs him up. And May made the sparkling part of this play with a pickup in the dirt. He's had a single, double, home run, 4 RBIs, and made some good plays so far.
Yes, he has, Kurt. First pitch is low to Bobby Tolan, ball 1. That's a pretty good finish for Bobby Tolan. Deep right. Way back and goodbye baseball.
Well, he got his pitch on a 2-0 count. Cincinnati's been in a mild batting slump. They've scored only 17 runs in their last 6 games. They have 4 runs already in this game.
Come on, Gullett! Get out of here! Get out of this son of a...
And the Reds are up by 4. Tolan came to Cincinnati a year ago from St. Louis, where there is a Lou Brock. And Bobby's speed, his power, is reminiscent of Brock's World Series style.
That's right, Kurt, 4-0. And Tony Perez, who singled it up the middle into center field in the 1st, is at the plate now. Pop foul, maybe a play. Hendricks coming over toward the Reds dugout. And yes, right at the railing, in front of the photographers and our NBC camera, Hendricks takes the pop foul.
Hendricks takes a look to see where he was first. Jam right up again. Concentrated that ball right into his mitt, which he had to do.
Reached right over our camera down there. 1 out, Johnny Bench will be the batter. Fastball, very high pop back of 3rd base. Coming over toward the stands, Hendricks and Robinson reaches but cannot hold it. E for effort, no error. Almost hit him. That's the first base on ball, given up by Cuellar, who didn't walk many during the season, only 69 walks in 298 innings. And with 1 out, Bench is at first, and Lee May, who batted in 2 runs with that double to left center in the 1st inning, coming to the plate. But first, here's Earl Weaver out of the dugout, going to the mound to talk with Cuellar. And we might see Mr. Phoebus waved off from the bullpen.
He's asked for him. Cuellar wasn't sharp today, like he was in the playoffs against Minnesota. He didn't have control of his screwball. Palmer winning yesterday was important to Baltimore. That's why they switched to a right-hander to open the series. The Reds lost to only 2 left-handers all season in their home ballpark. They were beaten late in the year by Claude Osteen and Atlanta's Mike McQueen. They were murderous against left-handers all season.
The blonde lady right in the center of your picture is Mrs. Tom Phoebus. And she has to feel a little anxious right now as Lee May steps up to the plate. Sharp grounder to third. Robinson to Johnson to Powell. And it's out. Brooks Robinson and Ty Trainer have been rated the two greatest fielding third basemen of all time. Robinson again shows his class in big games, all-star games and World Series, a diving stab to start the double play. And around the horn she goes. And Robinson's sparkling play once again gets the Orioles out of trouble. And so at the end of the third inning here at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, the Reds 4, the Orioles nothing.
When Cuellar walks bench, the game's biggest winner over the last 2 years takes a walk himself. The heat is still on with Lee May up. May challenges Robinson once again, spinning him around, but Brooks stays with it, and the wheels are in motion for a textbook double play.
Before we return to the game, here is a special report. For the latest information on the kidnappings of Labor Minister Pierre Laporte and British diplomat James Cross, we go to the CBC.
Again, the Orioles wait 3 innings before unloading. Boog Powell sails his second home run of the series into the outer reaches of center field. And now it's Cincinnati 4, Baltimore 1.
That was a special report from the CBC television news department. We now return to the second game of the World Series. The score at the moment, 4-1. Baltimore is at bat. Boog Powell has just hit a home run.
Lee May tagged him as he tried to dive into the base. Robinson a little slow getting to his feet. Down on one knee, and the manager coming out, the trainer coming out. You'll see Weaver. There's Weaver, and with his back to you is the Orioles trainer, Ralph Stavron. Robinson hustling to beat out that throw. Landed hard. Curtis. May has to leave the bag on this wide throw. Robinson's trying to dive under it. May tagged him on top of the back. I think he just had the wind knocked out of him. He's up on his feet now, and okay. One man out, and Brooks Robinson will be the batter now as Frank heads back for the dugout. He still has not had a hit in the series. And here's Brooks. Popped up the first time. Curve. Perez at third. Easy play. Two away. That'll bring up Ellie Hendricks. Ball 4 was low. And on 4 pitches, Hendricks goes to first. And here's Davy Johnson, who singled the left field in the second inning. Perez will go short to Helms, and that retires the side. 1 run, 1 hit. A home run by Powell. 1 runner left. And in the middle of the 4th inning, it's the Reds 4, the Orioles 1.
With me, the new manager of the Detroit Tigers, Billy Martin. Billy, you shook up that team already, and you just got there.
Well, we think the trade really helped us, Tony.
You've got some good young players, good infielders.
Yes, we have. Now we're strong in the infield, and as you know, defense makes pitching, so we got it now.
Billy, what about this Baltimore ball club? You're going to have to battle them next year to get into contention.
There's no doubt about it. They're a great ball club, Tony, and we're going to have to really do a job in order to beat them.
Cuellar wasn't very sharp today, was he? Couldn't get that screwball over. You think that the off time between starts had a lot to do with that?
It could be, Tony, and with a pitcher like that, he's got to pitch every 4 days. This could be the reason.
Billy Martin, good luck next year, and thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Let's go back upstairs.
Well, Phoebus, warming up on the mound, is making his first World Series appearance. He came in last inning, made 1 pitch to Lee May, got the double play ball, and like Pete Rickert yesterday, the Oriole relievers have come in to make 1 pitch and get out of tough situations. McRae bunted with Lee May at third base in the first inning and got an RBI on a bunt single. Over Robinson, down the line, in the corner, Buford after it. McRae will make it to second, standing up. That's the first hit off Phoebus, of course, and the fifth in the game for Cincinnati, and brings up Tommy Helms. Helms is a great bat control artist. He's used often on hit and run. There's one to the right side, bobbled, and picked up by Johnson in time to make the play, and McRae held on at second base. He didn't try to go to third.
Helms is trying to do his job, get that man over to third by slapping it on the right side. Hit it too hard, actually.
One out, and McRae at second base. Reds batting in the fourth, leading 4-1. And here's Woody. Woody Woodward. Right center, Blair. McRae retraces his steps, 2 out. That'll give McLaughlin a chance to help his own cause. He'll be up here with 2 out and a runner at second. Belanger deep, with 20 on it to retire the side. No runs and 1 hit in the fourth inning for the Reds. McRae's leadoff double. 1 man left. And so, at the end of 4 innings of play, the Reds 4, the Orioles 1. Mark Belanger is to be the leadoff batter for the Baltimore Orioles, and then we're going to get a pinch hitter. Chico Simone has come up to the on-deck circle, and he'll bat for Tom Phoebus as Earl Weaver goes to the bullpen, trying to get back even. Mo Grabowski is down at, that's the on-deck batter, Chico Simone. And Grabowski, a right-hander, is in the bullpen. Pops this one up. Woody says, I have it. And he does. 1 away. Chico Simone, a right-handed batter, is coming up to hit for the Orioles, Tom Phoebus. Woody can't reach it. And Simone has a pinch single, the 4th hit for the Orioles off McLaughlin. The top of the order coming up now, Don Buford. He's 1 for 2 today, a single to left to lead off the ball game. Grabowski will come on to pitch in the last half of the inning. Base hit, Rose. The runner stops at second, Simone. And the Orioles now are even in hits, 5 apiece. 2 men on, 1 man out, and that calls for a conference.
Number 9, left fielder Don Buford. But Don Buford follows with another single to right.
The Reds are going to send Milton Wilcox to the bullpen. Young 20-year-old right-hander beginning to lob the ball. He was in the bullpen early in yesterday's game and warmed up a couple of times. And the Orioles send up Paul Blair with 2 men on and 1 man out, trying to come back. Down 4-1 in the 5th inning. Sharply into left. That'll score Simone, maybe. Here's the throw, and he scores standing up. 4-2 now. An RBI single for Blair. The 6th hit off McLaughlin.
Paul Blair bounces a hit past Perez. Simone scores on the play, and manager Sparky Anderson has to come to the mound.
Wilcox has thrown long enough in the bullpen to get his arm loose. During the season, when Sparky would walk to the mound, that indicated he wanted the reliever, and it does here.
Go ahead, Mac. He just didn't have good stuff, did he? Every ball they hit, slow. Low. Simone hits the ball low.
That's what he is, though. I tried to go down on the first pitch. And
Good low ball hitter. First and second, one out. First and second, one out.
The new Cincinnati pitcher is 20-year-old Milt Wilcox, and Powell welcomes him aboard.
Left center. That should score Buford. Here's McRae's throw toward home. Offline, and he scores standing up. It's now 4-3 as Powell bats in a run. Powell now has 4 runs batted in 2 days, and so does Lee May. They're the RBI leaders of this series. Watch this swing on him. Cocks that bat, he's ready, head still, right into it, a great stride. Beautiful level swing all the way. He had it when he first came up, and he's maintained it. Been one of the greatest hitters in the major league.
Boog single scores Buford ahead of McRae's throw, and the gap is closing fast.
Well, we're down to a 1-run lead for the Reds. 4-3, and here's Frank Robinson. None for 2. Deep right center. Rose, warning track. Yes. Blair tags at second and goes to third. 2 men out. Runners on the corners. Brooks none for 2 today. Popped up, grounded out. Into right, and the game will be tied. Scoring is Blair. Powell stops at second, and we have a 4-4 ball game. As Brooks Robinson comes through with a big hit again.
And he pushes this hit to right, tying it up. Wilcox faces Hendricks.
Payoff. Fair ball. Powell will score. Robinson will score. Here's the throw toward third, and holding at second with a double is Hendricks. And the Orioles take the lead 6-4. A 2-run double by Ellie Hendricks brings Anderson out of the Cincinnati dugout, and he is going to bring in a new pitcher, Clay Carroll. Check swing, bouncing ball to Helms, and the Orioles are out. They backed 9 men, scored 5 runs on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits, and now in the middle of the 5th inning, it's Baltimore 6 and the Reds 4.
Wilcox faces Hendricks. Powell on second is off with a pitch, and Hendricks hits it off the end of the bat. Powell scores on the double. So does Brooks Robinson. It's a big 5-run inning. The Orioles now ahead 6-4.
35-year-old Mo Grabowski, 1-5, lost 4. His earned run average 3.47. He put on quite a show in the 1966 World Series. Pete Rose reached in an air, grounded out, fouls it out of play. Grabowski came on in the opening game, pitched 6 2/3 innings against the Dodgers, 1 hit ball, struck out 11, a World Series record for relief pitchers. It's Mrs. Pete Rose with a high head of hair, watching her husband at bat right now. Ball hit the Powell off the bag to Grabowski, covering, and there's 1 away. And Rose is still looking for his first World Series hit. Bobby Tolan has hit into a force play and hit a home run to right. In that relief job against the Dodgers, Grabowski struck out 6 in a row in that game, tying a World Series record set by Hod Eller for the Reds in 1919. 1 out, full count, nobody on. Up the middle, there's Dave Johnson for it. Throws out the speedy Tolan, 2 down. That'll bring up Tony Perez. A single to center in the 1st inning, fouled out in the 3rd. Perez hit a dramatic homer the All-Star game 3 years ago in the 15th inning at Anaheim, California, to give the National League a 2-1 victory. A strike to him. 0-2. Fastball, and he put it right in there to him. So Grabowski breezes through the last of the 5th, 1, 2, 3. And at the end of 5 innings, the score, the Baltimore Orioles 6, the Cincinnati Reds 4. Mark Belanger starts it off for the Orioles in the 6th inning. He's fouled out and pops up. The Orioles exploded for 5 runs and 6 hits in the 5th to take the lead. Bounding ball to the right side. Tommy Helms backs up for the big hop and throws him out, and there's 1 down. The Oriole pitcher, Mo Grabowski, up for his first time. Gave him a curve, 2 down. Then here's Buford. He blooped a single to left in the 1st, fly to right in the 3rd, and single to right in the 5th. Out of the reach of Carroll. Helms flashing across. Fine play by Tommy Helms to get him. 3 up and 3 down for the Orioles in the 6th inning. Well, we've gone 5.5 innings, and there's the score. Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 4. Johnny Bench up for the Reds. Fly to right and walk. Couple of steps toward left for him in the outfield. Grabowski's curve is a strike. Lee made a follow, and then Hal McRae. Long drive, going, and gone. Bench's first World Series homer. He hit a 1-strike pitch. No doubt about it when it left the bat.
Here's a good look at Johnny Bench and that powerful swing he has. They say Johnny Bench has some of the quickest hands in baseball, and he got that one out where he liked it. And from the time it left the bat, it was no doubt.
In the Cincinnati 6th, Johnny Bench gets in one more lick for the Big Red Machine. A home run off veteran Mo Grabowski, and Baltimore leads by 1.
Johnny back in the dugout, being congratulated. Lee May leans back, ball 1 to him. Dick Hall now has started to warm up in the Baltimore bullpen. It's 6-5. Baltimore leading. A high fly to left center. Blair will have plenty of room. 1 down. Al McRae beat out a squeeze bunt for a hit and an RBI in the 1st, double to left in the 4th, 2 for 2. Hit down to Brooks Robinson and back of the bag. The throw is there. And a good look at this guy, and you can see why they call him the human vacuum cleaner down at 3rd base. Sets his feet. Gets plenty on the throw over to Powell at first. It was a little bit low, but in plenty of time to get McRae. 2 strikes to Tommy Helms, who's hit into a forced play and grounded out. There's a fly ball right center. Blair on his horse. Throws it in. Hard to get that ball over his head. 1 run, 1 hit, a leadoff homer by Johnny Bench. There were no errors and nobody left. And we've gone 6 innings with a score. Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 5. Paul Blair hit into a double play, grounded a short single. Knocked in a run, he scored a run. It's the curve into shallow right center for a base hit. That's 10 hits for the Orioles. Boog Powell's been on base every time he's walked. 400-foot homer in the 4th, nobody on. Single a run in the 5th. He scored 2 runs. Hits at the 1st. May goes down to 2nd for 1. Back to May. Double play the hard way. The 2nd day in a row for Cincinnati. That's the 2nd double play turned in by the Reds infield. Frank Robinson is struck out, grounded to short, flied out to deep right center.
Hits it to the right side to Lee May. That's all for the Orioles. They had no runs, 1 hit. There were no errors, and nobody left. The end of 6.5 innings. It's Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 5. Ty Klein will bat for Woody Woodward. Boots it. The Langer trying to time his jump, couldn't get to it. And Klein comes through again. Doing an outstanding job of pinch hitting. Angel Bravo, who hit .310 as a pinch hitter this past season, is up now. Marcelino Lopez, a left-hander, Dick Hall, a right-hander, are warming up for the Orioles. There's a bunt. It's a beauty. Powell plays it at first base to Dave Johnson, the second baseman who covered. The sacrifice moves the tying run to second. The top of the order, and Pete Rose up.
Okay, here's a 2-time National League batting champion who has had 200 hits in 5 years. Only active player with that many 200-hit seasons. And like you said, it's tough to see how long they can shut him out at the plate.
3-2 pitch on the way. He's on. They say he beats out a walk, don't they, around here? He really hustles down at first base.
Curdy's always done that, and he does it, he says, because he thinks that's the only thing you can do when you get a walk, is to run.
Earl Weaver has waved in his left-hander, Marcelino Lopez. Runners are holding. It's popped up. Third baseman Robinson. Foul ball. Infield fly rule call. It's fair. Batter was automatically out of that with a fair ball. The runners would advance at their own risk. Here's Earl Weaver coming out now. And he wants the right-hander to pitch to Perez. Dick Hall will come on. So Lopez did his job. Klein at second. Rose at first, 2 down. Bounding ball to Brooks Robinson. The play is to Johnson for the force out on Rose at second. And Lopez and Hall did the job out of the bullpen for the Orioles.
1 inning later, Baltimore manager Earl Weaver plays the percentages. The left-handed Marcelino Lopez gets Bobby Tolan on a foul pop with 2 on. Now Weaver comes in with 40-year-old Dick Hall. And Hall closes out the inning as Perez bounces softly to Brooks Robinson for the force out.
Don Chaney has gone to shortstop. Number 12, Chaney. And the new pitcher. You're looking at a fellow who may be the pitching star of the future in the major leagues. 19-year-old Don Gullett. He won 5 and lost 2 this year as a teenager. But he has the stuff to be a great one. He'll face Brooks Robinson, who's popped up, grounded out, and singles. Ground ball to shortstop, Chaney. May hops on the bag, and there's 1 down. Well, there are no records kept, but we've had an oddity by the Baltimore relief pitchers. 3 of them have come in, thrown only 1 pitch, and got the side out in 2 days. He has real stuff, an outstanding fastball that curves. With maturity and barring injuries, the Reds really have something in this boy. Line drive out to Tommy Helm. 2 down. During the regular season, Gullett pitched 77 innings and struck out 76 batters. Almost 1 per inning. That's stuff. 3-2 pitch. Just a little low and outside. Johnny Bench thought they had it. So did the manager, Sparky Anderson. 36 years old, the youngest manager in the majors. Where was it? Down to Perez at third. Makes the play to Helms at second for the force on Johnson. And 19-year-old Don Gullett, in his first Major League World Series experience, gets them out. No runs, no hits. There were no errors, and one left. We've gone 7.5 innings. It's Baltimore 6 and Cincinnati 5. Johnny Bench leads off against Dick Hall in the last of the 8th. Bench flagged to right, walked, and hit a home run to left in the 6th inning. 1 out of 2. Change up, fly ball in the center field. Paul Blair puts it away, and we have 1 down. A good off-speed pitch by Hall.
It looked like he hit a knuckleball out to Blair. Kurt, Paul was a little undecided which way to go for a moment there, and finally decided to come on, and the ball kind of floated out to him.
Lee May doubled in the first. The drive in 2, hit into a double play in the 3rd, flying out to center in the 6th. 1 out of 3. And they're playing him the same they did for Bench. Hit hard to short. Belanger up. Right on target to Boog Powell. 2 down. Al McRae, a bunt single for an RBI, a double, and he's grounded out. 2 out of 3. Baltimore leading 6-5, last of the 8th inning. The 1-0 delivery. High fly to left. Don Buford there. A quick 1-2-3 inning for Dick Hall. At the end of 8 innings in Cincinnati, the score, Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 5. In the 9th inning, Dick Hall, the Oriole pitcher, will lead off. Then to the top of the order to pick up Don Buford and Paul Blair. This Don Gullett is really a Frank Merriwell. In high school, he averaged 25 points a game in basketball. In one football game, we couldn't believe this. Ball 1. We had the note given to us that he scored 12 touchdowns in one game. Tony Kubek asked him in a post-game interview, if that was true. He said no. He only scored 11, but he kicked 6 extra points. 2-0.
It still adds up to 72 points, doesn't it?
He wanted to apologize. He only scored 11 touchdowns in one game. The strike, 2-1. 2-2. Struck him out in that high, hard one. 1 down in the 9th inning. The batter's Buford. He's had 2 hits in 4 times. Ball 1. 2-0. 3-1 to Buford. 3-2. He walked him. Buford's on. Good base runner, Buford. Paul Blair, 2 hits in 4 times. Fly ball to right fielder Rose. Buford's playing it halfway. 2 down. Boog Powell has walked, hit a home run. Single in, another run, wrapped into a double play. There goes the runner. Ball 4. And the young left-hander, Lottom, erratic, has walked 2 this inning. He walked Johnson in the 8th. Frank Robinson has struck out, grounded out, fly to deep right, grounded out to first. He is now 0 for 8 in these first 2 games. 2 strikes to Frank Robinson. Took him out. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 2 men left. At the end of 8.5 innings, it's Baltimore 6, Cincinnati 5. Tommy Helms hit into a force play, grounded out, and flied out. Bounding ball up the middle. Belanger going for it, and he's got him. Belanger has outstanding range at that shortstop spot. In fact, the Orioles have a great defensive infield. Robinson, Belanger, and Johnson around the bag. And Powell steady at first. They have now switched to Bernie Carbo. Bernie Carbo He had a big year with a bat as a rookie this season. Is coming out to hit for Cheney. Let up pitch. Softly down to Boog Powell. 2 down. Dick Hall looked like he'd like to get a bat and run out of the stands and hit against him. But he never puts that ball down the middle. He's on the corners. He changes speed. 2 away. And a 40-year-old mathematician, he's a math whiz, is now facing Jim Stewart. Right. Jimmy Stewart was a Reds' leading pinch hitter with an average of .317 coming off the bench this last season. 2 down, nobody on. Foul is strike 2. Ball has faced 6 men and sent them all back. There's a long drive in the deep center. Blair back. And that one is caught by Paul Blair going away. Paul Blair, there's no better in center field in the Major League today. Play shallow.
Here's a good look at Blair on the warning track and in the glove. And the Orioles have won Game 2.
Dick Hall, the lankiest, most scholarly pitcher on the Orioles, retires 7 Reds he faces. The last one, Jim Stewart, on a drive hauled in by Paul Blair. And Brooks Robinson's victory salute tells it all. Once more, it's Baltimore by a run as they head home.